Hey everybody, it's Mike Venus, Lasso, and we back. And this guy, it's time to go in on this guy. Okay, he's doing this. Let me say something, bro. If you're not known to be a ranter, right? Because I'm seeing a pattern, right, with these YouTubers where they want to like, and it's so random, especially if they're not known for this, to be ranting, or just like, oh, I feel this way, I feel that way. Like this guy, I rarely catch him ranting. I don't know if that's something he doesn't. He probably does privately, but he feels like doing it publicly. So I'm going to address what he's ranting about. He's ranting about he feels that music production community, okay, that is being degraded with anti art or anti intellectual um, rhetoric from individuals within that community or that's posing of that community. And he didn't drop no names. That's another thing too. I find that very passive aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Very passive aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm a pacifist, right? Where you might think, oh, this guy passive. Pacifist, that means like he doesn't like conflict, he doesn't like war. But I'm not simple. War brings forth balance if used necessarily. Sometimes you have to confront things straight on to bring forth peace. If it's not merit for conflict, then there should be no conflict. But if it was to escalate the conflict, or it needs to be at least a confrontation, it must be ended as quick as possible. Think of Itachi, Uchiha. Shout out to the Uchiha clan. Yeah, gonna get that tatted on me too. All right, but back to the thing, right? So we gotta look at it from his perspective. His channel, a big draw to his channel, because I used to be subscribed to this guy too, but I think I unsubscribed from him. Was really teaching about using the NPC, the older ones, right? And like sampling techniques and stuff like that, production, right? He does a certain style of music, primarily G funk. Not my cup of tea. I respect the craft, but it's not my cup of tea. And this kind of ties in what he was saying too, where he's talking about the the lack of detail, or you know, does the ingredients matter? Meaning like with the gear using analog, or because I would say too, like, number one, sir, these aren't professionals. The majority of people that watch your channel, that watch YouTube for music, aren't really striving to be professionals. A lot of them are striving just to be hobbyists, or just to do something to kind of like working out. Like, if they stressed out and they're like, look, I want to do something that's just fun. Making music is fun. You understand? It's supposed to be fun, but it's not. I know that. I know that. So that's why I don't take my shit too serious on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not catering to that audience either, because that's not what I do. I'm not striving to be a figure on YouTube. So it's kind of like I put up what I do, but I'm not striving to be an influencer in this whatever community this is. Because yeah, I would feel like that. Like, do you really need all that shit, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, does it take all that? Like I said, I was making heat with just my fists and knuckles at the lunch table when I was young, or with some spoons. you know, it's like, have you ever watched the Celtic? That's another thing he talking about. I don't know if he's talking about the hip hop community or whatever music community he's speaking of, because there's so many genres. It's like, bro, You got a genre called noise, where it's just noise, bro. And people actually pay to go and listen to this shit, bro. It's crazy though. It sounds crazy. It's not my cup of tea, but I respect it. It's people that actually make that shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got EDM, different slew of genres in that. They always trying to make something new in that, marketing it. It's a lot of the same old. But you know, it is different shades of colors. You know what I'm saying? It's not black and white or prime colors. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna get the secondary colors if we just stick to prime colors? And you know, come on, you gotta like it's gonna be cross pollination. It's gonna be the blending of different things to create new things. That's what with music. And some people, they don't use all this shit. And some do. Some people it is very necessary for them to have all these pieces of gear and to understand it. But for the like I said, for the majority of people on YouTube, do they really need that, bro? That's why I felt like a lot of these old heads that reemerged out of nowhere, that's coming talking like they the authority and shit about shit that ain't gonna really appeal to anybody that's a novice or a hobbyist or an amateur, bro, that ain't really trying to like publish records or, you know, they're not trying to build a professional studio and rent it out to, you know, people, or, you know, they're not getting into the actual business of making money from music. They're just a consumer, bro. An admirer, you know, of music, and they want to partake in our world. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, I don't even know why I will even listen to any of you guys. You got all this shit, but you don't show how to work it. You ain't kind of like explaining what it does. You love G-Funk? Teach G-Funk. Some people like that shit. I don't. But I respect the craft. But not every style of music needs tons of layers. Some is just very straightforward. Look at Run DMC's one of their earlier records with Rick Rubin produced, where it was just an 808 drum machine and them rapping with no chords. I don't even think it was a bass line. I think they turned the kick into a bass. You understand? And they just rapped to a drum beat. That was musical. That shit sold records. Yeah. You know, and I'm kind of going back in time too to the root where all this shit came from, just to kind of get a understanding like how the shit progressed. They still was making music. If it was one nigga just saying, "Ooh," you know, in the church, that was musical. Then, hey, let's add another voice, and then they start doing that. It's like, wow, this is cool. Let's add more. You know what I'm saying? Why so serious, bro? Why so serious? Don't be too serious, bro. It's art. Art is subjective, bro. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, bro. If someone might think what I make is very beautiful, right? Then it might be someone to be like, bro, I don't get it. Then it might be someone like, yo, this shit's trash. You know what I'm saying? To someone, they might think, wow, this is the greatest thing I ever heard. I can't control how those people feel about it, but I do what I do. But I'm not encouraging people to try to emulate me. I think that's where another issue come up with this degradation of what you talking about, the music community. Is this, it's too many people trying to be chiefs that's really straight Indians, and they're Indians leading other Indians, but they have no chief. Because a chief will be like, look, learn what you like. That's in what you like, you will develop certain skills and techniques. But you need to find out what works for you. You know what I'm saying? There's many ways to voice a chord. Do you need every fucking note in the chord? No, you just need to know the key notes in the chord to make that type of sound. A chord sound. You know what I'm saying? There's rhythms within rhythms. That's called syncopation. You gotta let people explore things. That's part of the fun of making music. But having this piece of gear and that, I know you see it like that. That might be for what you like to do. But maybe you don't need that now. And then, like I said, a lot of the plugins and emulations is damn near getting pretty close. And to the layman, they don't care. You know, to the person who's not a musician, who's not a composer, who's not an artist, who's not trying to be a rapper, you know, they just want to push play and listen, and hopefully put it on the Pisces sign, the repeat. I'm a Pisces, so if it ain't looping, you know what I'm saying, I don't want to hear it. I need it, meaning I ain't talking about the song looping. I'm talking about I want to put it on repeat because it is generating a feeling. He talking about anti-intellectual, bro. To even the difference between someone just doing it once and someone who constantly know how to generate that type of emotion from whoever, that separates an amateur from a professional, bro. You understand? If I know how to write melodies, right, that is so memorable, and it either bring up nostalgia or it causes an emotional response, that's what you're really going for. The intellectual part come in and knowing how to make that or repeat that process again. So no, it's not being anti-intellectual if I say, no, I don't want to make chords anymore. Because yes, I'm still applying harmony to my music when I write. I'm just using myself as an example, right? But I'm showing that you can achieve the effect of harmony from an old technique called polyphonic texture, using two voice counterpoint. You understand? You're not going to teach that. I don't even know if you know that. I'm not saying you don't, but you might see it as like, this isn't really, I'm beyond this. I'm making, G-funk and R&B. You know what I'm saying? But we still making music. We making harmony. I'm just not playing two-handed chords. You know what I'm saying? I still got a bass line. I still got a melody. And when they play together, they create harmony. I still got drums. That's music. And I had to come to that realization because I love chords. But what I'm using, it doesn't work. It doesn't suit me. And I had to figure that out. That doesn't mean I'm encouraging other people to do this. I'm just saying I could do it just off of this. If I want to build a studio and have all that stuff in there for certain purposes and reasons, I would. But I just, at this time, I don't. I don't think I ever will. If I do. But that's me. You gotta let people, that doesn't mean, I'm saying from my perspective, that doesn't mean that the person is against music production or showing or pushing this against being intelligent or artistic. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. But I'm finding it for myself. And breaking away from just people just saying what they, thinking, oh, yeah, this is the right way, this is right. And then I'm getting frustrated because that's not what I want to do. That's not how I hear the music in my head. That's not how I want to write. I don't want to play like that. I don't want to sound like that. There's people out there just like that. They want to hear something new. They feel something new that needs to come forth that only they can make. You can't shit on them and say, oh, they're being degenerate, or they're pushing this narrative that's coming against the culture. Whatever that is. Don't care. But, yeah, no, just do you. I encourage people to be themselves, bro. If you like, I like all types of shit, bro. The stuff I like, you wouldn't even assume I would listen to that shit. I love it. I ain't telling you because it ain't none of your business. But I love everything in music. Even the shit that's like noise. That's trash. But how can you appreciate the most eloquent and beautiful stuff if you can't appreciate the rough and the most unlistenable stuff? It's a balance, bro. Get balance. You know, don't do rants if you ain't really a ranter, bro. I rant, but I'm flowing. This ain't premeditated and I got the camera all angled up properly and shit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't reading the script and making sure my voice sound like I'm not too aggressive. But man, fuck that shit. Like this is how I feel, bro. If you want to make music, you gonna get to making music. You gonna figure the shit out. If you want to do it, you gonna find what you need to find. You gonna figure it out. You understand? And you gonna do what you want to do. That's reality. That's what people gonna do. You understand? I ain't gonna say this person is a degenerate or this person is not artistic because they don't appreciate the way it was or is. Maybe they're seeing way down the road. Not every message is for everybody, bro. So you can take this however you want to take it. You say you want to debate. I'm open for it. I'm open for a debate. But all this don't get on here and be pretending like you really upset about stuff and you throwing little jabs because that's that Care Bear energy, that Care Bear Christian energy. I'm straight up. You know what I'm saying? I'm straight up. I'll tell you straight up. Like you spinning your wheels, bro. Just focus on you and your audience. And you YouTubers, you're not built like y'all. Your platforms ain't built for you to rant and really express how you feel. So keep up the facade. Your salesman, sell your shit, and eat off your audience. You understand? That's what y'all do. You at work. You work for big farm or not big farm, big corporations that peddle you gear. Not talking about this man. Or you're trying to sell your own gear to your audience, or you want to keep up some, the dream alive of when you were, the nostalgia when you was young. Fine, do that, sell that, but stay in your lane. You understand? It'll be much easier. You're not a ranter. I never seen you really rant on your channel. You're not good at it. It feels scripted. It feels curated. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel raw. Because a rant is raw. When you ranting, it's raw. It's how you really feel. Otherwise, it come across like you posing, bro. You posing. You know what I'm saying? That's how I say it comes across that way. I don't know if you really felt like this or not, but it does come across like it's scripted. Like it's kind of giving me Tyler Perry acting levels. You know what I'm saying? I'm not moved. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna rant and really talk your shit, I'll respect that more than this like subliminal shit. You know what I'm saying? Just do you. Do your G-Funk music. Talk about your gear. Encourage those who listen to you about gear. But gear is not for everybody. And some people don't work well on it. So, it's always going to be conflict and tension with the people who are opposite of what you do. You're a hybrid setup. Some people like straight dollars or just hardware. Some people just straight software. There you go. You always going to have contention with someone, or somebody gonna say something, you're gonna feel a certain kind of way. If you're gonna rant, be raw, be real.